Hello. Now, hi, good evening. Hi, good evening. Now, can you listen now? Yeah. Okay. So I was telling that. Okay, today will be the last class. Okay. So we'll be winding up today. So basically, what I want to discuss today is we'll be taking care. I mean, in the first chapter, as you have already seen, we have mapping systems and business process management and process management, etc. Okay, so that particular thing you need to cope up. Okay, what is business process, which we have already dealt in chapter 5. What is business process management? Okay, so can anyone tell me what do you mean by business process? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by business process? What do you mean by business process? What do you mean by business process? Yeah, set of activities. Any other definition? Do we have any other definition? What do you mean by designed to accomplish an organization goal to conduct set of activities? Set of activities. Okay. Yeah, set of activities which are designed for the purpose of achieving an organization goal. That is an entire definition. Okay. So you are supposed to read about chapter 1. You have few theoretical questions. Okay. So what are the theoretical questions you'll be having? Okay, you'll be having what do you mean by business process from an engineering perspective, from a business perspective. And after that you have an question called as what do you mean by business process management, and what are the principles that are involved in business process management. And we have a concept called as re-engineering, and we have a process called as automation. We have a process called as automation. Okay, we have a concept called as business process automation. So these business process automation anyways we have completed in chapter 5. Okay, so Six Sigma certification and total quality management. So these are the questions which you need to study on your own. The other concepts, okay, we have three other mapping systems that we'll study today. Okay, so today we'll be completing diagrams, data flow diagrams, and decision trees. And once we are done with that, okay, we will be having certain definitions in chapter 2. Okay, so we already completed SDLC, which is nothing but System Development Life Cycle, which we completed in chapter 4. Okay, and we have layers of information systems that is also from chapter 2 itself, but we completed in chapter 4. Okay, however, and we have cloud computing a little bit portion in chapter 2, which we completed in chapter 5. And we have mobile computing that also is actually from chapter 2, but we have completed in chapter 5. Okay, so this is an overview. We are only left over with some short questions. Okay, that we'll discuss today. Okay, most of the things, okay, which you need to tell me. Okay, rather than today, okay, I'll be speaking less, and okay, you have to tell me what exactly is the definition. Okay, so let us complete first mapping system, then we'll shift to, okay, certain short questions. Okay, so we have studied mapping systems. Okay, so what do you mean by mapping system? Anyone? What do you mean by mapping systems? Anyone? What do you mean by mapping systems? So anyone, what do you mean by mapping system, sir? It's an visual, okay, not virtual. Okay, so I don't know whether VART is virtual or visual. Okay, so what do you mean by mapping system? Mapping systems are nothing but it's an visual description of flow of activities in a business process. Okay, that's correct. Okay, so how many types of mapping systems we have? How many types of mapping systems we have? 5. Okay, very good. So what are 5? Vamsi, what are 6? I don't know what is the sixth one. Can you please tell me? 5. Okay, so we have only 5, Vamsi. Okay, don't invent one more. Okay, so so we have 5. Very good. So what are the 5 different types of mapping systems we have? Flowcharts, decision tree, ER diagram, data flow diagram, and decision table. Okay, so these are different, these are 5 types of mapping techniques. Okay, so we are done with first one, flowcharts, and second one, decision tree. Okay, so let us go to the other, okay, 3 types of mapping systems. Okay, so let us go to the data flow diagram. So what do you mean by data flow diagram? So data flow diagram is nothing but it's a graphical representation of flow of activities of data in an information system. Okay, so if at all you want to explain an information system, okay, so you need to, okay, if you want to explain how the data will be moving inside an information systems, okay, so how can you explain that? Okay, by way of a data flow diagram. Okay, so the perfect example which we have studied, okay, if you remember, we studied decision support systems. In decision support systems, we gave a diagram, and I told you the data will be moving from a user and okay, databases from model, sorry, from planning languages to the model. Okay, so that particular diagram is nothing but a data flow diagram which will help us to understand the flow of data from one component to another component. Okay, so why do we require a data flow diagrams? Okay, it provides a greater understanding how the data moves from one component to another component inside an information system. Okay, so we have, okay, certain components. Okay, and always the chances, okay, always you have a chance, okay, that they will be asking an theoretical question from this particular thing, because even though they ask an okay question, you will not be having a standard answer. Okay, because this particular standard answer will change from one person to another person. That is the reason we will not be having any standard answer. However, okay, the chances of asking if a theoretical question will be more compared to an asking an, okay, a problem. However, we'll see both. Okay, so let us see the theoretical. So how many components we have in a data flow diagram, sir? We have 4 components. Okay, first one is called as, first one is process. Okay, what is the first diagram? First diagram is nothing but entity. Sorry, first one is called as entity. So what do you mean by entity, and when do we use entity? Entities are used in order to represent, okay, a starting or, okay, starting or destination of data. At the time you want to represent, okay, then we'll be using an diagram called as an entity. Okay, so what do you mean by entity? Entity is nothing but a source or destination of data. Okay, so it can be a source, it can be a destination. And how do we represent this particular entity is always represented by way of a box. Okay, so if they ask in the exam, okay, what do you mean by data flow diagram and what are the major components of data flow diagram, you are supposed to draw this diagram as well. Okay, don't okay, leave this particular diagram. You are supposed to write a small rectangle. Okay, so how do we represent an entity is always represented by way of a box. Okay, and entity is also used for the purpose of representing a source or a destination. Okay, it is also referred as agent, terminator, sink, source, and sink. Okay, so what is the first component, sir? First component is entity. And how do we represent entity? Entity is always represented by way of a box. Okay, second component is called as a process. So what do you mean by process? Process is nothing but, okay, we already studied a term called as processing. If you remember, what do you mean by processing, sir? Anyone? What do you mean by processing? What do you mean by processing? What do you mean by processing, sir? Computing. Okay, very good. What do you mean by computing then, Navya? What do you mean by computing? Processing means flow of activities. Yeah. Okay. So what do you mean by processing, sir? Conversion of data into information. Okay. So if at all there is any conversion of data into information, sir, okay, we use a box called as a process box. Okay. So manipulation of data, transformation of data into information, anything which we need to represent at that time. Okay, we use an box called as, I mean, diagram called as a process. Okay. So this component is required to represent manipulation of data. It is used for the purpose of representing manipulation of data or transformation of data into information. In other words, okay, process receives an input, process the input and generates an output. Okay, and how do we represent an process? Process is always represented by way of a circle. Okay, so this is how we represent a process box. Okay, so like let us say filling an application form is a process. Okay, so if I want you to, okay, draw the diagram, okay, in data flow diagram you have to use an circle. Okay, so next one is called as a data source. Okay, so when do we use data source? Data source is used when you want to retrieve the data or store the data into a database. Okay, so data source is nothing but a place where the data is stored, and it is represented by two parallel lines. Okay, like this. Okay, two parallel lines we require. Okay, so if at all I am saying that, okay, checking of an account number. Okay, so you need to check, okay, whether the account number is there or not. Okay, so how do we check? We will be checking using an database. Okay, at that time we have to draw this particular diagram, data source. Okay, and last one is called as a data flow. So what do you mean by data flow? Data flow, it is represented by an arrow. Okay, so what exactly this particular data flow represents? Okay, it represents movement of data between the entities. So these are four diagrams which we have. Okay, now let us see a small problem. Draw a data flow diagram for cash withdrawal process. Okay, so what do you mean by data flow diagram? It is nothing but, okay, how do we withdraw cash? Okay, we need to draw a data flow diagram to withdraw cash. Okay, as I said, okay, there will not be any standard, okay, like answers. Okay, so we need to I mean, whatever answer you write, okay, if at all it is relevant and up to the context, and if you use all the diagrams, mostly it will be right. Okay, that is the reason they may not be giving an problem in this particular area, because the solution will change. Okay, so that is the reason they will not give. Okay, but for our purpose of understanding those diagrams, basic diagrams, we need to let us see this particular data flow diagram. Okay, so if you see the data flow diagram for cash withdrawal process. Okay, so where it will start, sir? Always it starts with a customer. Okay, so if at all you want to represent any source, okay, so always you have to represent it by way of an entity. Okay, so entity only you can able to represent anything, source or destination, always you need to represent it by way of an entity. Okay, so that is the reason we here use an okay, entity, okay, by way of a customer. Okay, so we use this particular box, okay, entity. Now what exactly customer will do, sir? Customer will go to the bank, okay, and okay, he will complete withdrawal form. Okay, completing withdrawal form means it is nothing but we are entering the data. So exactly we are transforming, okay, or processing some particular activity. So whenever there is a process, which diagram I have to use? I have to use a circle. Okay, process diagram. Okay, so what exactly we do? We complete the withdrawal form. Okay, so what are the details we enter? Account number, how much amount we require, etc. Okay, now once you fill this particular thing, the entire information will be giving to a teller. Okay, so what exactly teller will do, sir? Who is a teller? Clerk. Okay, so what exactly this teller will do, sir? He will process a transaction. Okay, so he is again a process. Okay, so teller will process a transaction. And what exactly he will do, sir? He will validate. Okay, validate a transaction. So how validation will be done? First he will type account number, so database. Okay, it will go to the bank database. Now if the account number is valid, okay, then it will say, okay, it's a valid account. Okay, then what exactly this particular person will do? Next one, process a transaction. He will process a transaction. Again, it's an processing. Okay, so what exactly he will do? Okay, he will pass a debit entry. Okay, like let us say 10,000. Okay, so let us say I want to I have a balance of 10,000. Let us say I want to withdraw 3,000. Okay, so it will do an debit entry for 3,000, and 7,000 will become a new balance. Okay, And once this transaction is completed, okay, what he will do, then he will pay cash to whom, sir? To the customer, and also he will give cash and receipt. Okay, so this is how you have to draw a data flow diagram. You have a standard one diagram in your study material. Okay, as an example, you can also refer that particular thing as an example. So how many components we have in okay, data flow diagram, sir? We have four components. First one is an entity. What is the second one? First one is entity, second one is process, third one is data source, and fourth one is data flow. Okay, so we have certain types of data flow diagrams as well. So we have a logical data flow. Okay, so what do you mean by I mean, data flows are divided into two types. So first one is called as a logical data flow, second is called as a physical data flow. Okay, data flow diagram. So what do you mean by logical data flow diagram? It is nothing but it focuses on the business. Okay, like let us say an organization. Okay, like you have sales department, okay, operations department, okay, marketing department, etc. Okay, so it will always concentrate on how the business will be divided. Okay, and it will represent it by way of a data flow. Okay, so what do you mean by physical data flow diagram? Okay, this particular data flow diagram represents how the data will be how the data will be moving inside an information system. So these are two types of data flow diagrams. So if at all it is a logical data flow, it always represents a business. Whereas if at all it is a physical data flow, it is nothing but it will tell how the data will be moving within an information systems. Okay, so these are two types of data flow diagrams, and we have advantages also and disadvantages as well. Okay, so it's a straightforward graphical technique, okay, to understand movement of data. Okay, so it is used as a part of document. When I say document, like let us say if at all you purchase a washing machine, okay, you'll get a manual, right? Okay, so why do we require a manual? In order to understand the functionalities of a washing machine. The same way, okay, these particular developers or database management system administrators, etc., they have these particular data flow diagrams as a part of a document or as a part of an training material. Okay, so it is easy to understand. Okay, there is no requirement for you to go through that particular I mean, what do you call, programming languages and all that stuff. It is not required. Even a technical or a non-technical person can also draw this particular data flow diagrams. Okay, and it supports logic behind, okay, data flow within the information systems. Okay, and again we have disadvantages. Okay, so what is the disadvantage? Okay, sometimes it might be little confusing. Okay, it will be little confusing about the system. Okay, now you have an, okay, difference. Okay, explain the differences between data flow diagram and flowchart. Okay, you refer please study material page number 11. Okay, so with this we have completed the I mean third one, that is called as data flow diagram. So what do you mean by data flow diagram? Data flow diagrams are always required for the purpose of, okay, always required for the purpose of representing the flow of data between information system or within an information system. Okay, so that is about data flow diagram. So let us go to the next one. Next one is entity relationship diagram. Okay, so let us see entity relationship diagram. Okay, so sometimes, okay, in one of the exam paper, okay, they asked about what do you mean by context diagram? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by context diagram? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by context diagram? Sir, what do you mean by context diagram? Anyone? In one of the question paper recently only, like May 19 or somewhere, okay, or November 19, okay. So they asked a question, what do you mean by context diagram? Okay, so context diagram is nothing but data flow diagram, sir. Okay, so the other name of data flow diagram is context diagram. Please remember this particular thing. Okay, so sometimes they'll ask you, okay, so what do you mean by context diagram? Okay, don't think that, okay, like it is out of syllabus. No, okay, so you have this particular context diagram which is also equal to, okay, data flow diagram. Please remember this particular thing. Okay, so let us move to the next diagram, ER diagram. So what do you mean by ER diagram? So always this particular, okay, like flowcharts are required for the purpose of developing programs. Okay, so ER diagrams are required for the purpose of designing databases. Okay, so if at all you want to design databases, okay, the prerequisite is you need to draw an ER diagram. Okay, so this particular ER diagram also has certain, okay, diagrams. Now let us see the diagrams. Okay, so first one is box. Okay, so box is used to represent an entity. Okay, and in this particular ER diagram, box, in which situation we use this particular box? Okay, so box is used in order to represent any physical object, okay, if at all you want to represent any physical object, okay, or conceptual object, okay, like physical object I can say like house, okay, is a physical object, okay. Sale of house, okay, is a conceptual object, okay. So either to represent a physical object like car, okay, or pen or phone, etc., I will be using this particular diagram, or anything like any conceptual object also, like sale of a car, okay, or sale of a cell phone, etc., also I will be using this particular box, okay. And how do we represent an entity? Entity is always represented by a rectangle, okay. Like, okay, the same way, okay, you need to draw this diagram in the exam, okay. It's a standard diagram. So if you don't draw, if they ask, okay, what do you mean by ER diagram and explain four components of ER diagram, if you write theoretically without drawing the diagram, okay, you will not be getting the marks, okay. So you are supposed to draw the diagram also, okay. So next one is called as diamond. So what do you mean by diamond? Diamonds are used to represent a relationship, okay. So if you remember, we studied, okay, relationship database model, okay, do you remember? So we studied relationship database model, okay. How many relationship database model supports? Anyone? How many database model supports? How many relationship database model supports? Others, okay, please respond, okay. Let it be wrong. How many relationship database model supports? The answer is zero, sir. Okay, the answer is zero. Okay, relationship database model does not support any relationship. Okay, we studied it is zero. Okay, so how many relationships? Okay, uh, how many relationship network database model supports? How many relationship network database model supports? Anyone? How many relationship network database model supports? So forgot. Okay, so long back we studied, so you forgot. Okay. Sir, network database model supports four relationships, okay. So one to one, one to many to one, and many to many, okay. Hierarchical database model supports only two relationships, one to one and one to many, okay. So network database model, see, okay, hierarchical database model supports two relationship, okay. Network database model supports four relationship, and okay, last one, okay, is an relationship database model does not support any relationships, okay. So this is how you need to remember, sir, okay, or else believe me, okay, you cannot even touch the MCQs, believe me, okay. Even though you know the concept, if you don't know the differences, okay, then it will be a problem at the time when you write MCQs, okay. So MCQs are also very important, right? Okay, if you read the conceptual oriented, okay, you are supposed to read in that way so that you can able to attempt an MCQ, okay. And case studies as well, okay. So we'll be seeing this time case studies and MCQs also. So okay, so please prepare in that particular manner, okay. So if you just read and leave, then it will be a problem, okay. So few people wrote correctly, that's okay, very good, okay. Now let us see, okay, entity relationship diagram. So we are done with the first one box, and what is the second one, sir? Second one is nothing but diamond. So what do you mean by diamond? Diamonds are required for the purpose of representing relationship. What do you mean by relationship? Any relationship is an association exists between two entities. Okay, so how many types of relationships we have? We have four: one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many. Okay, and last one, okay, oval. Okay, so for what we use oval? Ovals are used for the purpose of representing an attribute. Okay, can anyone tell me what do you mean by attribute? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by attribute, sir? Attribute. What do you mean by attribute? What do you mean by attribute? We studied in the database model itself. What do you mean by attribute? No one. Any other answer, sir? What do you mean by attribute? Okay, okay, it is named field. Okay, so it's in field name is also fine. Okay, it is nothing but named column. Okay, named column is an attribute. That's perfect. Okay, so what do you mean by attribute? Attribute is nothing but named column, like employee id is a named column. Okay, or employee salary is a named column in an employee table. Okay, so that is called as an attribute. And how do we represent an attribute? Attribute is always represented by an oval symbol. Okay, so let us read this particular. Okay, take some time. Okay, so I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, please read the problem. So So if you see this particular problem, IBM has more than 1 lakh employees working in different places around the world. The personal information of each employee is to be recorded into employee database as an information management system. Okay. So IBM is having around 1 lakh employees. Okay. They want to record in an database called as information management system. Okay. Now what are the conditions he'll be explaining? Okay. So company has set of departments. So what is the first condition? A company has a set of departments. Okay. Now second is each department has set of employees, set of projects and offices, and each employee has a job history. So these are the three conditions. Okay. And also he explained what are the attributes we have. So department is having department number, department name, budget. Employee is having employee number, employee name and project. And project is having project name and project number. Okay. So you are supposed to draw a data flow, ER diagram to design a database. Okay. So this is a question. Now let's see this particular diagram. Okay, so how do we represent this particular diagram? Okay, so what is the first condition, sir? First condition is nothing but a company has set of departments. Okay, so how do we draw it? Okay, so first company. Okay, company means entity. Okay. Okay, so what is the relationship? Each company, okay, when I say each one, okay, company has set of departments. Okay, so what is the relationship? If you see here, one, okay, to many, okay, this is many. Okay, you need to write m here. Okay, you need to write m here. So one to many. Okay, so this is how you have to explain a relationship between two entities. Okay, so company, department. So what is the relationship? Each company has set of departments, and what is the relationship one to many? Okay, and okay, what is the second condition, sir? Second condition is nothing but each department has set of employees. Okay, so each department. So again, okay, each department is already there, has set of employees. Okay, so employees will be writing again an entity, and what is the relationship, sir? Each department has set of employees. Okay, each means what is the relationship? One. Okay, many. Okay, so if you see the diagram here, okay, so if you see this cursor, okay, so here this is how you have to represent many. Okay, so one to many. Okay, so that is how you have to represent. Okay, now what is the next condition? So each department has set of projects. So each department has set of projects. Okay, so department and projects. Okay, so again each means one, that means relationship is one to many. Again if you see here, many. Okay, so each department has set of projects. Okay, what is the relationship? One to many. Okay, the same way if you see another condition, each department has set of offices. Okay, again office is an entity, so I'll be using this particular box. Okay, so what is the relationship, sir? One to many. Okay, one to many is the relationship. Okay, so again, okay, what is the relationship? Like it is nothing but okay, it's nothing but okay, each department has set of offices. Okay, so this is how you need to draw. Okay, next, what is the last condition, sir? Each employee has a job history. Okay, so each employee has a job history. If you see employee and job history, employee and job history, so what is the relationship? Each employee has a, that means one to one. Okay, so what is the relationship, sir? One to one. Okay, and okay, each employee has a job history. So this is how you need to draw the ER diagram. And okay, you have attributes. Okay, department is having department number, name and budget. Okay, so department is having department number, department name and budget. Okay, so you need to draw in an okay oval shape. Okay, so same way with project and employees. Okay, so this is about an ER diagram. So what are the advantages? So ER diagrams are used for the purpose of designing of a database. Same advantages you have. Okay, it can be used by both technical and non-technical. It is easy and simple. ER diagrams represents relationship between entities. Okay, and what is the limitation? Sometimes it is little confusing. Okay, after that we have decision tree. So this is a small concept. It's nothing but a decision tree is also called as an inference tree or logical tree. It has certain conditions and conclusions. Okay, so it is represented by way of a tree like structure. Okay, so you don't have any example in your study material, so this is how okay a decision tree will be. Okay, so what is the logic here? If at all you see 60, okay, this is 60, and if you see left side, okay, it will be less than 60. Right side if you take, okay, it will be greater than 60. Again if you take 50, again if you take left side, it will be less than. Again if you take right side, it will be more than. Okay, so this is how you need to draw the decision tree. Okay, So these are certain these are mapping systems which we have. So how many types of mapping systems we have, sir? We have we have five types of mapping systems. First one is called as and decision table. Second is what is the first one? Flow chart. Second one is called as and decision table, decision trees, okay, and ER diagrams and data flow diagrams. So these are five types of mapping systems which we have. So with this we have completed the concept of mapping systems. Now let us move to the next one, that is called as short questions. We'll see. Okay, so we have certain short questions that are there in chapter 2. Now let us see that particular short answers. So we studied multi-processing. Remember, what do you mean by multi-processing, sir? What do you mean by multi-processing? What do you mean by multi-processing, sir? It is nothing but, okay, if you connect more than one processor together, it becomes an multi-processing. Okay, very good. Okay, two or more processing units, if you connect them, it becomes a multi-processing, which we have already studied. Okay, so what do you mean by multi-processing? Multi-processing is nothing but if two or more, okay, uh, if two or more if two or more central processing units, okay, within a single computer system, okay, and they allocate the jobs or tasks between them, it is called as multiprocessing. Okay, now can anyone tell me what do you mean by platform virtualization? What do you mean by platform virtualization, sir? Which we have already studied in chapter 5. Okay, if you remember, okay, we already studied that particular aspect in chapter 5. So what do you mean by platform virtualization? Creation of virtual machines, perfect, from physical resources. Okay, that is called as an platform virtualization, or it is also called as hardware virtualization. Very good, Navya. So what do you mean by hardware virtualization or platform virtualization? It refers to an virtual machine which acts like a real computer with an operating system. Okay, so it just acts. Okay, it does not have, okay, it just acts. Okay, it does not will be having an okay, all the resources. Okay, so it does not have any of the resources. All the resources will be provided by the third party. Okay, so that is called as hardware virtualization. And what do you mean by cloud computing? Cloud computing is nothing but, okay, providing of various services, okay, such as hardware resources, software development platforms, etc., through internet or over internet is called as cloud computing. That also we studied. Okay, so what do you mean by cloud computing? Cloud computing is use of various services such as software development platforms, servers, storage, software over internet, often referred as cloud computing. Okay, so that is the third definition. Now next is called as okay, so what is next one? Next one is called as a groupware. What do you mean by groupware, sir? Groupware is nothing but a few people are working on the same software. Okay, like Tally. Okay, not Tally, like Oracle Finance. Okay, so if you see Oracle Finance, okay, multiple people will be working together. Okay, so what happens if at all you have a single application software and more than one user who are working at the same time? It is called as multi programming. Okay, so it is called as multi-programming. Okay, so the same concept is called as a group where multiple people will be using the same application software for the purpose of recording a data or for the purpose of doing certain activities. Okay, so that is called as a groupware. So what do you mean by groupware, sir? It is nothing but a collaboration software. Collaboration means people can communicate with each other. Okay, so software that allows collective and collaborative working of teams from different geographical locations, either online or real-time basis. Okay, on online and real-time basis. Okay, so we have a definition called as computer bus. So what do you mean by computer bus? Computer bus is nothing but it's a wire, okay, and which is used for the purpose of transmitting the data. Okay, so if you open your like what do you call desktop, so in the desktop you have this particular motherboard. On the motherboard you have a small like wire kind of thing. Okay, in the olden days they used to have a small elastic type of wire actually. Okay, so if you see that particular wire, if you remove that elastic part, okay, inside you'll be having a copper wire. Okay, so why do we require this computer bus? For the purpose of transferring data from one component to another component. Like let us say I want to transfer the data from main memory to secondary memory, okay, or from secondary memory to main memory. Okay, operating system wants to load it. Okay, so at that time this computer bus will be used for the purpose of transferring the data from one particular thing to another component. Okay, so that is about computer bus. Next, we have a concept called as memory controller. So, what do you mean by memory controller, sir? Okay, this memory controller and direct memory access, okay, both will be having the same type of kind of control. Like these particular devices will be used for the for the purpose of compensating the speed differences. Okay, as we studied cache. Okay, so cache also will be using for the purpose of compensating the speed differences. The same way, this particular memory controller, direct memory access also will be using in that way in order to reduce the what do you call load on the processor. Okay, after that we have a Bluetooth. Okay, so what do you mean by Bluetooth, sir? Okay, it's nothing but if at all you want to exchange certain data within a range of 50 meters, okay, at that time you need to use a Bluetooth technology. Okay, so Bluetooth is required for the purpose of exchanging of data. Okay, so that is about Bluetooth. So basically Bluetooth is nothing but it is required for the purpose of exchanging of data within a few data. Few meters. Okay, and what? Please do write the same thing, sir. Okay, please don't write any of like general things. Okay, so Bluetooth is nothing but a wireless technology standard for exchanging of data over a short distance. Okay, and what are the various devices that supports this Bluetooth? If you see this here, okay, few devices that utilize Bluetooth technology are like you have keyboards, mouse. Okay, mice means mouse. Okay, plural form. Okay, printers, mobile phones, handsets, etc. Okay, so these are certain devices which supports Bluetooth. Okay, so one of the exam question paper they gave a particular 2 marks answer question. uh, what do you mean by Bluetooth and what are the devices that supports Bluetooth? Okay, so you need to write this particular thing as an example. Now Bluetooth, okay, you know better than me. Okay, we can send pictures, videos, exchange business cards, etc. Okay, so this is about Bluetooth. And next one is Wi-Fi. So what do you mean by Wi-Fi, sir? Wi-Fi is again a technology through which we transfer the data within a short range, and we can connect the devices. Okay, you can read this particular thing. Okay, it's a very simple definition. So these are certain definitions like you have like desktop, okay, lap, what do you mean by tablet? Okay, so you okay, I guess you can able to cope up with this particular definition. So what do you mean by smartphone? Okay, touchpad. Okay, so all these particular definitions which we have, okay, I'll be uploading in the Google Drive. What do you mean by notebook? Okay, we already studied cache. Okay, so you have cache, virtual memory. Okay, so we already completed virtual memory as well. Okay, so these definitions, okay, we have around 20 or 25. Okay, so please read these particular definitions. I'll be uploading in the Google Drive. Okay, so these are small definitions which we have. So this is what I have from my side. Okay, if you have any questions you can ask me, or else we'll conclude. Okay, so this is from my side. Okay, so we are done with mapping systems, we are done with the definitions. So we are done with chapter 2, chapter 3, sorry, we started chapter 3, completed 4, completed 5, completed 2, completed, and one mapping systems completed. Okay, and you are supposed to read certain definitions such as business process management, and Six Sigma certificate, total quality management, business process reengineering. Okay, so these are 5 questions you are supposed to read. Any other thing, if you have any doubt, okay, you can ask me. Okay, I'll clarify. Okay, I'll be uploading this particular definitions part also, so you can study this particular thing. Okay, today or tomorrow I'll be uploading this particular definitions part also. And okay, if you have any other questions, sir, okay, you can ask me. Gopi, Sisk and risk. Okay, actually, I needed certain diagrams. Okay, which I couldn't able to cope up. I'll see. Okay, in one of the miscellaneous video, I'll definitely upload that Sisk and risk, Gopi. But right now, I need diagram, but I don't have that particular diagram right now. But definitely, I'll take up that particular risk and Sisk. Okay, in another video. Okay, so not in today's video. Will another video, I'll definitely tell what is Sisk and risk. Diskless nodes. So diskless nodes is nothing but okay, Navya, like let us say, okay, if your computer is not having a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM, or if you don't have even an USB drive, USB port, okay, so that is called as a diskless node. Okay, that's it. That is called as diskless nodes. Okay, there is no other definition, so that's it. Okay, so if any other questions, sir, you can ask me. Applet is nothing but Navya, like so what do you call, like when we program, we have two things. Okay, like the request has to go to the server. Okay, once you fill the application, the request has to go to the server. But before the request will go to the server, if you want to do some processing at the client, like verification of data, etc. Okay, like let us say, if at all you take a Google Drive, okay, like Google form which we have created. Now what exactly you are doing, okay, you are filling that particular application form, and some people are not even writing the name. Okay, sorry to say, but you need to write your name. Okay, so anyways, okay, so if certain processing is done at an local level, okay, so or verification is done at a local level, then that is called as an applet. It is nothing but an technology which we use in Java. Okay, so Java consists of an applets. Okay, so what do you mean by applets? Applet is nothing but it's an web form, or it's a form where you submit the data. Once you submit that, I mean, you fill the data. Once you fill the data, if at all the applet is conducting an activity like verification whether all the fields have been filled or not, and all the things, if at all it is done at a client side, then it is called as an applet, Navya. That's it. Yes, in one of the MCQ, I think I gave it. Any other question, sir? Shall we conclude, or if you have any doubts, you can ask me. One launch session for summary revision, that will see, Preeti. Okay, that we'll see. Okay, if we have time, we'll do. Okay, so that's all from my side. Okay, thank you very much, okay, for your patience. Okay, because we had actually, initially we thought that I'll be taking around 15 classes. so, or 15 days. Initially I wanted to take only 1 day class, okay. uh, but I was not satisfied. I mean, I don't want to give a 1 day session and leave, okay. So I thought of taking like 10 days to 15 days, but I am not satisfied with that also, so I extended a bit, okay. We have a session. I mean, it's now like 26 days, okay, or 27, okay, I don't know. But okay, it was a wonderful session, and thank you for your patience, okay. So listening to IT, it's an, I mean, very complicated, okay, because you people don't have an IT background. But what I suggest is, okay, please do learn information technology, and please start reading, and okay, learn, and what do you call, technology like ERP, you need to learn, okay. So if you see the new education policy, okay, so fifth class student will be writing programs, sir, okay. So you should be upgrading yourself, okay, or else it will become very very complicated, okay. I'll try it. See, please subscribe, and because we'll not be leaving here, okay. So it's like two ways. Like if you clear, okay, then we'll be moving to final. Then okay, at that particular point of time, I'll be taking customs and foreign trade policy, GST, and we have certain economic laws, okay, and all that particular things also I'll be taking. uh, so please subscribe, okay. That is the reason. If at all I take any session, so that you'll get a notification and you can join, okay. So that is one thing I can able to, if you once you move to final, okay, we'll be having, I mean, we'll be staying in touch and I'll be taking few other topics as well. So all practical examples of imports, exports, foreign trade policy, and customs, okay, how exactly the movement of goods will happen, and all that stuff by way of case study I wanted to prepare. So not immediately, but okay, like 1 month or 1.5 month will be starting, okay. And I hope you can cope up with MCQs, right? Okay. So uh, if you don't, okay, so let's see, okay, if at all we have time, I'll definitely take MCQs as well, okay. But I'm just I mean, not finding time enough. So let us see, okay, if at all I have time, I'll definitely take MCQs as well, okay. And case studies, okay. So case studies I started preparing them, okay. So most probably by within 2 days, okay. So we may, I mean, we can able to discuss, okay, case studies, okay. Actually I wanted to take tomorrow. So okay, anyways, okay. So give me 2 days, okay. We'll come up with chapter 3 case studies, okay. So various case studies, if you want to, like if you want, okay, I can able to prepare them, okay. First we'll start with one chapter case study. So once you are comfortable, then we'll move to 4, 5, 2, and 1, okay. So this is how we will go. So thank you very much, okay. So anyways, you can ask me any question. If you have any doubt, okay, you can text me, okay. I'll be always available, okay. If you need any help, okay, I'll definitely clarify that particular doubt, okay. So that's all from my side, okay. Thank you very much, okay. And okay, so let us see, okay, again in case studies, okay. But you'll not be having a regular like day-to-day class like every 2 days or alternate 2 days. Let's see, okay. We'll be seeing certain case studies. I've prepared around 40 or 50 in chapter 3. uh, okay, so what I wanted to convey is like, be prepared, okay. So when I start a case study, okay, I'll ask questions, okay. So I will ask certain questions that we'll see, okay. So let's see, okay. So case studies also we have, okay, around I wanted to prepare like 100 150. So I am at 40. So I mean, I have prepared around 40. So that we'll see, okay, each and every case study, okay. Let us see whether you can able to answer that particular questions or not, okay. So thank you very much, thank you all.